You walk into the office kitchen, someone's already there. You make eye contact, and now you're trapped. Hey, how was your weekend? Fine. Good. Busy. Oh yeah, same, crazy busy. A pause. Weather's been something, huh? It has. It really has. And by the time you escape back to your desk, you feel like you just ran a half marathon in dress shoes. But here's the weird part. You didn't do anything. You talked about nothing. So why are you exhausted? Meanwhile, your coworker bounces back to their desk, radiating good energy like they just had a green smoothie. They loved that. They thrived. What is going on with the two of you? Small talk is one of the most ordinary things humans do, and one of the most quietly divisive. For some people, it's social glue, easy and energizing. For others, it's a peculiar kind of drain they can't quite explain. And the psychology behind why is far more interesting than, oh, I'm just an introvert. There are actually distinct psychological profiles at play here. Different reasons, different inner worlds, different costs. So stick around, because by the end of this, you might finally have the language for something you felt your whole life but could never name. Picture this. Someone asks you how your weekend was, and inside your head, a whole film starts playing. You actually want to answer. You want to say that Saturday felt oddly melancholy, that you started a book and abandoned it, that you thought about calling your dad but didn't. But you look at the person's face and you know they're not asking for the film. They want the trailer. 10 seconds, smile, done. So you compress yourself. You perform a version of you that fits the container of small talk, and it costs something. Psychologists call this kind of person a high elaborative thinker. Their minds naturally seek depth, nuance, and meaning. For them, surface-level conversation doesn't feel restful. It feels like holding your breath. The social energy required isn't in talking, it's in the constant self-editing. The gap between what they could say and what they're allowed to say creates a low-grade cognitive tension that adds up fast. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've been mistaken for being aloof or private, when really you're just waiting for the conversation to get good. Then there's the person who isn't necessarily deep, they're alert, intensely, exhaustingly alert. They walk into a room and their nervous system quietly logs everything. The tone of someone's voice, the half-second of hesitation before, "I'm fine." The way that compliment landed slightly off. While everyone else is just chatting, this person is running background analysis at full speed, picking up signals no one asked them to pick up. This is linked to what researchers call sensory processing sensitivity, a trait found in about 15 to 20% of the population. Highly sensitive people, HSPs, don't filter out as much stimulation as others do. Their nervous systems are turned up, so a casual conversation in a loud cafe isn't just a conversation, it's a conversation plus the ambient noise, plus the emotional temperature of the room, plus the nonverbal data streaming in from every person nearby. Small talk in that context is like trying to read a book in the middle of a carnival. Technically possible, practically draining. If you've ever left a party feeling weirdly overstimulated despite barely doing anything, this might be your profile. Here's a profile that's a little uncomfortable to admit because it can sound arrogant if you say it wrong. But stay with me. Some people find small talk exhausting, not because of how their brains process information, but because of what they value. They have a deep, almost visceral need for authenticity in connection. Pleasantries feel, to them, like a kind of mutual performance. Two people agreeing to stay on the surface and call it socializing. And that agreement, however socially useful, feels faintly hollow. This isn't snobbery. It's actually rooted in attachment psychology. People with certain attachment styles, particularly those who experienced relationships where things were rarely said directly, grow up with a hunger for realness. They can smell pretense from across the room, and when they're forced to perform pleasantness they don't feel, something in them quietly protests. The exhaustion isn't from the effort, it's from the inauthenticity. It's the psychic cost of smiling when you're ambivalent, of saying great thanks when you're anything but. Over time, that accumulates. It's like being asked to wear a shirt that doesn't fit every single day. You might know these people as the ones who somehow, within 20 minutes of meeting you, end up in a conversation about death or dreams or what they actually believe. It's not that they're intense. Okay, they're a little intense. It's that they're desperately seeking the shortcut past performance and into something real. But here's the twist. Not everyone who finds small talk exhausting is retreating from connection. Some are desperately reaching for it, and the exhaustion comes from a completely different place. For someone with social anxiety, small talk isn't boring. It's terrifying, and not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, constant monitoring way. Every pause feels loaded. Every word chosen is weighed before it leaves their mouth. Was that weird? Did I just make it weird? Why did I say it like that? They're not disengaged. They're hyper-engaged with themselves. There's a running commentary, a live self-critique happening in real time. Psychologists call this self-focused attention, and it's one of the core mechanisms of social anxiety. The person is simultaneously in the conversation and watching themselves have the conversation, judging the performance from the audience. Small talk is exhausting for them because they can never fully be in it. They're always slightly outside it, watching. And that split attention, being present and self-monitoring at the same time, is cognitively brutal. If you've ever replayed a 2-minute hallway conversation 3 times that night in bed, analyzing what you said, this one's for you. And finally, there's a type that gets simplified the most, the introvert. But not the caricature, not the hermit who hates people, the real nuanced version. True introversion, as defined by psychologist Hans Eysenck, isn't about shyness or misanthropy. It's about how the brain regulates arousal. Introverts have a naturally higher baseline of cortical stimulation, which means they reach their optimal arousal level faster than extroverts. Social interaction, especially unstructured, low-stakes small talk, pushes them past that point quickly. And beyond that point, it doesn't feel good. It feels like too much. What's fascinating is that introverts can genuinely love people, love conversation, love deep connection, and still find small talk costly. Because it doesn't go anywhere. It's stimulation without reward, noise without signal. They spend social energy the same way we all spend money, and small talk feels like buying something they didn't want with currency they don't have to spare. Give this person a real problem to solve together, a story to trade, an idea to pull apart, and suddenly they're not tired at all. So, which one lands for you? Are you the deep diver, self-editing in real time, waiting for the conversation to get interesting? The hyper-aware processor, picking up signals no one asked you to receive? The authenticity seeker, faintly allergic to performance? The social anxiety performer, watching yourself from the outside? Or the meaning-driven introvert, spending energy like it's the last of it? Maybe you're a blend. Most people are. The point isn't to label yourself and stop there. It's to understand why you feel what you feel so you can stop blaming yourself for it. Small talk isn't failing. You're not broken. You're just wired in a particular way that makes certain social textures cost more than they should. And honestly, that's one of the most human things there is. If this felt like looking in the mirror, drop a comment. Tell me which type fits. And if you want more of this kind of slow, honest look at the way human beings actually work, you know where the subscribe button is.